Alright, well here's the red. We've got speaking of red, we've got the red on the camera, but we also have a red wine for you to try. It's as you see, a Louis Jadot, 2007.
Raise it up.
Beaujolais Village from the Burgundy district. Now where? You thought Burgundy was a California wine. Burgundy is a growing region in the country of France. Just like we have Cape Cod cranberries that are grown in Cape Cod, you can't grow a cranberry in Wisconsin and call it a Cape Cod cranberry. Therefore, if the grapes aren't grown in Burgundy, France, they are not Burgundy, no matter what you might read on the label from California or other parts of the world. Okay, so what makes this bottle of wine what it is? We've gotten past the geographic region. It is in virtually, if you have a map of France, visualize it in your mind. It's the eastern section of France, about midway north and south. Burgundy is in its widest part about 40 miles, and in its thinnest part, I would say, off the top of my head, I'll have to check this out though for you camera people, probably about 10 miles wide. There are four distinct parts. Up to the north is the Côte d'Or, slope of gold. It simply means slope of gold because the leaves of the vines shimmer gold in the sunlight in the afternoon, but also the grapes that grow on those vines are worth 10 times their weight in gold. I'll explain to that later. In the middle section of Burgundy is the Beaujolais section. Now Beaujolais is again a geographic location, and you have two distinct areas in Beaujolais. In the northwest section of Beaujolais, you have what's called the Beaujolais Village, which simply means the villages. Now why are those separately and distinct? Because in that northwest section of Beaujolais, there are sloping hills, a very sensual, undulating topographic area. Now why is that a better area for growing any kind of grape, let alone the Gamay grape, which we have here, is that when you have southeast facing sloping vineyards, let me say that again, when you have a vineyard that faces southeast, what happens is you get the morning sun rising, which dries up the dew that forms on grapevines and grapes. Why is that important? Because it does not allow the growth of mildew. And when you have mildew, you have grape rot, you have leaf rot, and therefore photosynthesis can't happen, and you do not get the sugar content that you need inside that grape. Also, the essence that comes out of the ground through the roots and up through the vine is jam-packed into those grapes when you have perfect growing conditions. So therefore, no matter where the vineyard is found in the world, not just Burgundy, it's important to have southeast facing vineyards. Doesn't mean that's the only place you can grow good wine, but it helps. It's that little, it helps a little bit. So, also in Burgundy, you have where the mass of the Beaujolais happens, does not have the word village on the label, and that is Gamay grape that's grown down in the valley floor of this part of Burgundy. Again, because you don't have that southeast facing vine, you get a wine of just a little less complexity, less interesting juice. You can also apply that same overlay I just gave you to Beaujolais Nouveau. You know that Nouveau is the first wine released out of the new vintage. It happens on the third Thursday of November every year. The trucks race the wine through the roads of Burgundy, through the roads of France to get to the port, to get to the airport, so the wine gets shipped all over the world because everybody wants to be at that party where the first bottles of Beaujolais Nouveau are tasted. Beaujolais Nouveau is not a serious wine. It's a quaffable, party type of a wine. Some people will tell you it doesn't last more than 2 or 3 months. I've tasted Nouveau Beaujolais a couple of years old, which certainly isn't that lively, vibrant, strawberry, raspberry, fruity, cherry kind of quality, but it turns into almost a typical simple table wine. Okay, Beaujolais. And another thing about Beaujolais, it's the only red grape, other than Pinot Noir, that's allowed to be bottled in the Burgundy district and still called a Burgundy. You find other red grapes that are grown in the region, but they're just labeled Vin de Table or simple red wine from France. Okay, the third section, the third major section to the south is the Mâconnais, which many people know of Macon, M-A-C-O-N. There is a city of Macon, it's in Georgia. No, let's get back to France. Macon is the southern district, which is almost exclusively Chardonnay. In this region, Puy-Fouissé comes from. Now, many people think that Puy-Fouissé is comes from the region of the north I told you about, the Côte d'Or, but it's almost like Dionysus or Bacchus took a huge earth-moving machine, lifted up a segment of the Côte d'Or, and brought it down into the Mâconnais region and just plunked it down in there. It's a sub-region which produces some phenomenal Chardonnay grape, which, you know, you do produce that Puy-Fouissé, and there are other grapes, other vineyards and names around that area that are also quite good. So, Mâconnais, all Chardonnay, if it's white. Used to be a grape called Melon de Bourgogne, which is no longer grown there as a Macon wine. So that's a white Burgundy. Macon Chardonnay is a white Burgundy. There are red Burgundies, white Burgundies. There is a fourth district that's between the Burgundy, the Beaujolais section, and the Mâconnais section, but I'll talk about that later. So overall, you got the Côte d'Or to the north, red and white wines. You got Beaujolais in the middle, 98% red, 2% white, and then you have the Mâconnais in the south. I'm not going to give you a percentage, but mostly all white. So there you have it on the Burgundy section of France, where this Louis Jadot Beaujolais comes from. And like a manna from heaven, here comes the get out of town ring. Okay, bye. Hello.